what is meiosis and mitosis. Let's study in detail, but let's study what are the outcome of the meiosis and mitosis that can be easily identified. So when we talk about the meiosis, the final product, that is final outcome, is 4 different cells. Okay, but when I'm talking about the mitosis, its outcome is 2 identical cells. This is the exact differentiation between the meiosis and your mitosis. So we are going to study about what is the exact difference. So let's study. Okay, before we move ahead, we should know the vocabulary regarding what is mitosis. The phase in the cell cycle, during which the nucleus divides. So what is exactly mitosis? The phase in the cell cycle during which the nucleus divides it. So whenever you talk about the nucleus is divides, the what comes into your mind, that has to be a mitosis. But whenever you're talking about the meiosis, a part of a sexual reproduction in which cells divides to form sperm cell in a male and egg cell in a female. That is, meiosis occur only in a reproductive cell. So again we got a second point of redifferentiation, is that mitosis occur in a nucleus divides, whenever the nucleus divides, but meiosis occur only in the reproductive cell. Why such happens? Because mitosis is responsible for generation of the identical cells and meiosis is nothing but responsible for your haploid reproductive cells. Okay, then what is DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid, a chemical that contains information for an organism's growth and function. Definitely it's a storage house, nothing but your genetic information. But when you talk about the chromosomes, that means the physical structure in a cell that contains the cell's DNA, that is genetic material. So genetic material is stored in the chromosomes. When you talk about the cell cycle, that is the next topic, the normal sequence of development and division of cell. So in how many stages the cell actually grow up and then divides is nothing but your cell cycle. DNA of an organism, all the DNA of organisms including its genes, the genetic material of an organism. So when you talk about the DNA is a functional level unit, then comes chromosomes. It is a winding up of DNA into the chromosomes. When you talk about the cell cycle, actually when the DNA is utilized, or nothing but DNA genetic material that has to be replicated during the cell cycle, the first cell is maturation cycle and then comes your reproductive cycle stage. Then we talk about the genome, is sum of the all DNA into the organisms. Okay, so now next, mitosis and meiosis, why they actually happen? They create 2 cells from the one cell. Definitely this is a basic criteria to mitosis and meiosis occur, to create new cells from the one. But mitosis, as I said earlier, it is responsible for only 2 identical cells, and meiosis is haploid but different cells. Okay, there has to be enough stuff for the both cell to be live. So we are talking about here is your cell maturation cycle. We are talk about here, there has to be enough stuff. That means we are talking about the cell cycle where it earlier go maturation and then come to reproductive. So there has to be duplication of a lot of stuff before the first cell, that is parents, divides. Then let's talk about one of the thing to duplicate is the genome. Definitely, as we said, or we come across a conclusion that genome is the sum of all the DNA or all the characteristics stored in your organism. So these are the chromosomes which are made up of the DNA. So when the DNA replicates, makes 2 copies of everything from what the parent originally had, the cell can be divided. So what is the criteria for cell to be divided? It should be, I mean in mitosis or meiosis, any one of them, the common what they have shared is they actually replicate or make 2 copies of everything from what they have this stuff. Okay, so let's talk about exact difference of the mitosis and meiosis. When you talk about the mitosis, the 2 cells that come out of the division, that is daughters, are exactly the same, or we can say identical in the genetic makeup. Okay, the second one, they have the very same DNA. Why same DNA? Because they are identical to each other. They haven't haploid, they are diploid only, so therefore make up the same proteins and have the behavior, cell behavior is the same one. But whenever we talk about the meiosis, that is the purpose of meiosis is to make new type of cell. That means we need a variations. The cells are not the same at all. Why so? Because mitosis occur in like skin cells, your intestine cell, but meiosis occurs in a reproductive cell. Definitely, you need a variety of them to for sustainable life. Okay, then talk about the eggs and sperm cell are produced by the meiosis. Definitely, the genetic diversity happens from the mixing of genes inside a cell of the mother and the father. So genetic diversity, that is variation we are called about, is nothing but here happens from the meiosis. So why do you have a traits given to you from your grandmother, though your father, even though your father may not have that trait? So what is the question is reveal us about what is the question, that why do you have traits given to you from your grandmother through your father, even though your father may not have that trait? So the answer is given in bracket, he carries it in his genes from the letter mixing. So what is the hereditary? Hereditary is nothing but a transfer of gene from one generation to another. So definitely whatever the characteristic you do possess, it's from your grandfather, father, and all kind of things we can actually say. So it's the sum of all the genome, so all the information got transferred. Okay, so now here is a picture depicting that mitosis and meiosis. The mitosis occur in a four phase, that is the prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase, whereas meiosis occur in a two stage, meiosis 1, meiosis 2, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. So in this case, they do possess meiosis also do possess prophase, anaphase, metaphase, telophase in each of the meiosis 1 phase and meiosis 2 phase. So meiosis occur in a very large amount. I mean, it takes large time to be occurred. But in case of mitosis, occur very easily because it has to produce only the identical cell. But when we talk about meiosis, it has to produce a four different haploid cell. Point to be noted, or you should mark this line, that is meiosis is going to produce a four haploid cell which are various, or they show the variation from your parent cell. But when you talk about the mitosis, they have to possess identical cell. This is the exact difference between the mitosis and the meiosis.